And so we begin. We're always beginning. We're beginning a weekend that has been a gift and an invitation to come and bask in the sunlight of spirit, bask in the internal eye of being. A weekend when the world is focused on two major disasters. Let's say our country particularly focused on two disasters. Why are we here and able to sit and see through into the spiritual realm and be able to watch and be the watcher and be the lover and be the giver? What makes you here? What makes you long? What makes me long to be here in the silence? A part of me that is never fulfilled without it. And so we begin our weekend here at Bergamo on 9/9/2005 with the understanding that the only place to really go is within, to that still small voice whispering, always courteous, never interrupting, always waiting and allowing for me to settle down and to be still and know. And yet the mind wanders, and the mind tells us all sorts of stories and dramas and tales of woe, tales of pleasure. And a finger goes to our lips and we say, shh, be still, just be still and know. Begin your spiritual life with the understanding that all conflicts must be settled within your consciousness. Pretty powerful first wisdom of Joel. But that is the only place most of us can go. This room is filled this weekend with seasoned meditators. And those who are new or newer, perhaps, they feel to the message. You will get to ride on the coattails of some of this meditation that has been practiced. I think if we added up the years of all the years of meditation that is being brought here today, we would have quite a number. And yet with all those years, the television comes on, the phone rings, the world starts to pull us and call us and tell us there is something other than the presence of God going on. And we come back home, and we begin. We begin our spiritual life moment by moment by moment. Pull back, come home, stop the horizontal living and pull back to vertical living. Right here where I am, no matter what the appearances, is the very presence of God. My soul longing to come into recognition of that which is here now. And I rest, and I sit back, and I finally exhaust myself, and I give it all up, and back I am, out of mind, gently, gently coming home to where the I keeps me present, here and now. If you are new to meditation or new to the group, one of the practices that is welcomed by most is to just use the simple understanding to be aware. You know, Joel was not about us being zombies sitting, floating off on cloud 9. But we are to be consciously aware, consciously awake of the presence, not in our heads, but right here where I am, from the soul faculty. And I allow, God, meditate me. For left to my own devices, I will be in the mind, wandering off, trying to fix it, wandering off into the judgment of isn't this good, isn't this evil. But be aware. Many times I say, Dulcie, be aware. Wait, right here, now, be aware. Be awake. Be conscious. No floating. Be aware. And knowing that the faculty I need for meditation is not the mind, but a faculty called by some the awareness faculty. It's an actual faculty of a sense, instead of the 5 physical and the 6 as mental, but a 7th sense, a sense of now. Nowness, here. I step back, behind the mind, behind the thoughts, behind the words, and I rest and I watch it all, like a TV in the next room, that I'm not interested in the programming, but it's on, and I cease to be aware of it. I pull back, and I refocus. Come home, come home. It is I. Be aware. All is well. And I build that muscle, and I stretch that muscle to expand and to increase my conscious awareness of that present. And as I do that, sitting in the silence, I learn to walk in that silence. I learn to talk from the depth of that silence right there, whether I'm in the market or on the job, picking up a child, petting a dog, in the traffic on the freeway, out from the silence of the recognition right here is the presence of God, here and now. And I rest. And we go in. And we begin a delicious weekend of silence. And there it is, tasting it, touching it, being it. Being aware, moment by moment. the presence grows and expands, and then the joy of releasing it out into the world. And there are several Infinite Way retreats going on this weekend, several other groups from around the world joining together to hold, to lift consciousness. And we get the privilege of pouring everything that comes through us out as a release into the world. What a joy. Joy is the most infallible sign of the presence of God. And joy comes not from without myself, but from within. And I can but pour it. I cannot grasp it. I cannot reach for it. I must allow it. And this mystical path that we're on appears to be the opposite of the human scene, where we reach for things. And here we are, pouring, letting it out, receiving from within, and opening a way of its splendor. And so we've been given this opportunity to be real this weekend. Real meaning coming from the reality of I. All our humanhood can be dropped at the door. All the little nuances and all the little pettiness that we experience in humanhood, we can leave outside for the whole weekend. And we come together, and it was suggested to use the Contemplative Life, Chapter 2. So beautiful the way Joel pulls together prayer, God, and grace. And at the end, it's so obvious that there is no separation between the three. And the only thing that can separate is myself, is I have separated from grace. Grace is never withheld. God is never withheld. Prayer, which is basking in that presence, which is knowing that presence, is never withheld. But the humanness sometimes comes in, pulls us away into what's going on. So I've had printed up these pink sheets, if everyone got one. They're just little sentences that can be used from Joel about that chapter to pull us back. One in the morning upon arising, we get to say, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee, and really take it in. And throughout the day, as the mind starts to distract, I am come that ye may have life, and that they may have it more abundantly. If there's any sense of lack of freedom, or lack of bond, or a form of bondage, or feeling tied to something, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. And let's all as a group pause at each meal. Thy grace is sufficiency into all things. Especially at a time when lack is being beamed through the consciousness of the world, and particularly our country, of loss and lack. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. And as we retire, lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. And all I have to do to come to the end of the world is to stop and be present in the now, and the, quote, world that I have had to be in but not of ceases. In that moment, just like snapping my fingers, clapping my hands. Wake up, Dulcie, wake up. Come home, be here, be present, recognize. The world is not suffering from lack of knowledge. It is suffering from lack of love. The love that goes beyond, the unconditioned love, the recognition, the Christ recognition of being. Ah, that's who you are. God, soul of my being. No matter who or what is before you, it is a call to prayer. It screams at me to recognize right there, behold the Christ, longing to come into recognition, longing. For years I was told to recognize the Christ no matter what was happening. And I used to, how can I do that with this man who is just beating his dog in the parking lot, or whatever it is that's come in front of me? And then I heard the term a little differently. I heard it, behold, it is the Christ longing to come into recognition. And with that, if it's in front of me, it's my job. If it's in front of me, it's called me to do the recognizing, to do the prayer. And there it is. No matter what it looks like, it is I, ising, being. And so we have this opportunity to be alone with ourselves, the big self. I brought a couple of really, really great tapes, one of which is one of the best Joel tapes I've ever heard on the explanation of duality. And I believe tomorrow morning I'll be playing a very, very early tape of Joel's that wasn't even in the catalog until this year. And I've brought transcripts of it, so you can have it with you, one for everyone. And it's a 52 class, and it's called The Fourth Dimension. And it's called the first class of 52, and it tells you where it is and what it is. But I'm going to play that in the morning when there's more, when we haven't had a full day getting here. And a lot of times I find the first night people are taken very, very deep and need to be quiet and rest and come in fully aware in the morning. And there's also I'm going to be playing. We'll have probably afternoon will be silent. Tomorrow night, right after dinner, we'll all become silent. If you choose to be silent all day tomorrow, that's great. You could write silent on one of these little tickets and put it on you so people don't approach you, one of the tabs. But we will all go as a group silent Saturday night after dinner through Sunday till Sunday night. However, we will all come together as the times are on the back table there, 10 in the morning, 3:30, and 7:30, and there will be either silence, tape, or if I'm instructed differently, then that will take place. But I'm a lover of silence, so even though I'm new to most of you, I may not be doing a lot of teaching or talking. I will do that on a one-to-one. If someone needs to have an appointment with me, just put your name on the table and your room number. I also leave my phone numbers back there so that if you end up later needing to call to be lifted, or if you're struggling with something that is not understood, and if I've had the experience, I'll be glad to share it. There's plenty of individual material back there that you can work with. Particularly, I find this little green one back there will be a very major help during this time of ways to break the hypnosis. How do I break hypnotism? Joel is so clear on it that I certainly don't need to reiterate that. If you come into anxiety during this retreat, or the head starts to lie to you, paint pictures, the fear of the outside comes in, just know that there is no such thing as the absence. There is no such thing as the darkness, only the absence of light. And there's just no such thing as fear, only the absence of the presence and the awareness of the presence of God. God is never not present, but if I'm not aware of it, therein lies the rub. So becoming consciously aware moment by moment. George, is this room unlocked in the morning?
Yes.
Okay, because it's not on the schedule, but I always like to start the day with a half an hour of silence as a group for those who can get up and make it in here. So breakfast is at 8. So at 7:30, I'll be in here for those that want to start their day with 30 minutes of the silence before breakfast. And I want to thank everyone for coming. There's 13 of us, I believe, here. It's Bud's lucky number. Some of us are from the West Coast and new to you, so we'll be meeting a lot in the silence. These are gorgeous. These beautiful colors. Oof. Thank you all who brought the flowers, and George for inviting me to come back. I haven't been here since '88 with the group when Doris was here. Doris sends her love, by the way. I was in touch with her about 3 days ago. Do you have any announcements?
No, are there any questions?
Any questions from anyone? Yes, Kay. Well, yeah, and a lot of people prefer it. Maybe if you're real cold, I don't prefer the cold either, but I guess it's a regulation, but bring a blanket. They said from last year to bring a blanket from your bed or extra. I didn't actually notice it. I was surprised I didn't, but...
It said at 74, I don't know.
That's high, yeah.
It's just right.
See, a lot of people are happy. A lot of people run. You know, we're from California and Arizona, so I think it's us, not them. So, yeah, so I think we bring our coats and jackets and blankets. And we don't want everybody falling asleep anyway. Any other questions? Okay. We'll see how it happens. But I remember I was on one love story, and these kisses were so awesome, and it would just make you melt. And the very minute they said cut, these two people hated each other so bad. They could not. In fact, the minute it happened, the actress, and I will remain anonymous, very good actress, had a man paid to go and get this actor immediately away from her so that it was just, this went on. It was a sitcom, and this went on. So I learned, to watch and cut behind the scenes and not judge by appearance. And nothing is real there. Nothing, including the makeup I did, They'd come in looking like Dracula and walk out, looking like the best, and vice versa. I'd take a beautiful person and turn them into, ugh. So, it was an interesting upbringing, needless to say, and never really wanted to be there. It was never my love. This was my love. But it also afforded me, I was probably at a retreat every single month for at least 20 years. And I couldn't get enough. I couldn't go to enough tapes. I couldn't go to enough of the teachers. And I'm very grateful for all the tools, because every one of them had special gifts, special gifts. And so I'm very grateful for that. And I've known for a long time, and I have been giving retreats in other arenas for a while, bringing people to the silence, not knowing it was Joel, regurgitated, and now it's opened up to where they're more in the form of 100% of the infinite way, as it's expressed in and every one of us is an expression of that God self, and how delicious we all are, and so it's wonderful to come together, and you'd end up not feeling so alone when you're up against a principle that you're just not demonstrating. It's just not looking like it ought to look. And so I think holding each other's hand and coming together, and I'm not so sure that the day of the guru type of a teacher seems to be moving in a different way, and in that there's no teacher, no student, differentiation, there's no difference. It's just like, in fact, the first Infinite Way class I gave, I felt absolutely no different on this side of the table as I do on that. None whatsoever. It was all, I'm so clear on the oneness and the joinedness, of that. So, any other questions or expressions, desires?